This presentation is a summary of the new rules for 2020 to 2022 as outlined by Hockey Canada. You'll notice changes to gender-neutral terminology throughout the casebook. Hockey Canada has changed all references to his, her, him, she, and he to neutral pronouns. Additionally, the term linesman and linesmen have been changed to linesperson and linespersons throughout the document. Some added definitions to the glossary within the casebook. Body contact. This is incidental contact between two opposing players in pursuit of the puck on the ice in the same direction. Body contact occurs as a result of movement by the offensive player. Body checking. An attempt by a player to gain an advantage on the opponent with the use of their body. Body checking results when two opposing players collide while skating in opposite directions, or when positioning and angling allow the checker to use the force of the body to gain the advantage. Body checking may result in a penalty if used in a division of hockey that does not allow for body checking. Disrespectful behavior. This is considered behavior that is rude, unpleasant, inappropriate, or unprofessional, that is found to be offensive to others. The following wording and criteria for calling a major penalty in game misconduct has been added to the following rules. A minor penalty, or at the discretion of the referee, a major in game misconduct, based upon the degree of violence of impact, shall be assessed to any player who commits one of the following infractions: charging, checking from behind, kneeing, interference, or cross-checking. This wording, based upon the degree of violence of impact as a criteria for calling a major penalty in game misconduct, does exist with many penalties. The rationale for adding these to these 5 existing penalties is to create consistency with those other penalties with regard to referee discretion. Minor penalties. Under the definition for a minor penalty, any player except a goaltender shall be ruled off the ice for 2 minutes of actual playing time, during which no substitute shall be permitted, indicates the situation where a team becomes shorthanded. There is a new note under this particular rule. Should a player be penalized by way of a time penalty, and the on-ice officials neglect to place the penalized player or the penalized player's substitute in the penalty bench to serve the penalty, the officials shall have that team place the correct player or players in the penalty bench at the next stoppage of play during that ensuing power play. Should there be no stoppage prior to the expiration of a penalty, then the officials should stop play once the shorthanded team gains possession and control of the puck in order to return the team to full strength. So this note is basically a procedural component to when an error has been made initially upon the assessment of a penalty, when the wrong player or no player at all hasn't been placed in the penalty box. In this situation, the officials should make the correction upon the next stoppage during the ensuing power play. However, if the penalty does expire before they have a chance to place the correct player in the box, they'll stop play to return the team to full strength upon the next opportunity where that team has possession of the puck. Minor penalties. This is a new situation. Ultimately, this situation outlines a scenario where a team has received a bench minor for a team penalty. Additionally, a coach receives a bench minor penalty for actions that they have taken personally. Ultimately, the team has 2 bench minor penalties on the same stoppage. The question is, does that offending team play 5-on-3 for 2 minutes, 2 players short, 1 player short for each minor penalty, or does the offending team play 5-on-4 for 4 minutes, and the 2 penalties are stacked upon each other? The answer, the offending team will play 5-on-3 for 2 minutes. In this situation, the team penalty originally assessed and the penalty to the coach are considered separate and served separately. Rule 4.9 penalty shot. Generally, there are 5 criteria for calling a penalty shot when a player is on a breakaway. In order to call a penalty shot, the attacking player must have possession and control of the puck in the neutral or attacking zone with no defender to pass other than the goaltender, be denied a reasonable scoring opportunity, and be fouled from behind. What this new rule addition has done is clarified a stipulation regarding the foul from behind. Should an infraction resulting in a penalty shot, that foul from behind, normally result in a double minor penalty, example spearing, then the penalty shot shall be in lieu of one of the minor penalties, and the second minor penalty shall be assessed, regardless of the result of a goal being scored on the penalty shot. So in that original scenario, generally speaking, when somebody is fouled from behind, say by tripping, tripping is a minor penalty, and the penalty shot simply replaces the minor penalty. In the case of a double minor like spearing or butt ending or any other double minor foul, the penalty shot will still replace a single minor penalty. But because the infraction warranted a double minor penalty, the second minor penalty will still be assessed. And again, it'll be assessed regardless of the scoring of a goal on the penalty shot. Rule 6.1, attempt to injure or deliberate injury. This rule has been revised back to the wording from 2016-18. The 2018-20 version of this rule had inadvertently omitted important components. They are, Rule 6.1a is now back. A match penalty shall be assessed to any player or team official who deliberately attempts to or deliberately injures an opponent, official, team official, or spectator in any manner not otherwise covered in the rules. This basically applies to any action that is deemed a deliberate attempt to injure, not covered by existing playing rules. References to headbutting are now included here. They are a double minor, which includes a gross misconduct if the infraction is committed by a team official, or it's a match penalty. Match penalty for kicking. Grabbing hair, mask, helmet, or chin strap. This was inadvertently omitted in 2018-20 and now housed back under Rule 6.1d. The criteria is either a minor penalty, major in-game misconduct based upon the degree of violence at the discretion of the referee, or a match penalty. Finally, the match penalty for using the facial protector as a weapon has been added back under 6.1e. Of note, in 2016-18's version, there were several other match penalty infractions listed in this rule. However, they are housed under other primary rules like slashing, high sticking, cross-checking, and so on. So to avoid redundancy, they have not been added back under 6.1 in this version. Rule 6.4, checking from behind. Initially, there are two changes here. The first is the addition of the criteria mentioned earlier on in this presentation for outlining when a major in-game misconduct at the referee's discretion is called based upon the degree of violence of impact. Additionally, the reference to cross-checking an opponent from behind while in motion, warranting a checking from behind penalty, has been moved to this rule. This criteria previously existed, but was located under cross-checking. Under the rule cross-checking, it did inform officials that a checking from behind penalty should be called, and it was determined it was better suited to be listed under this rule. These are not actual changes, they're just clarifications. Additionally, when a player is high stick, cross-check, body check, pushed, hit, or propelled in any manner from behind into the boards or goal in such a manner that the player is unable to protect themselves, a match penalty could be assessed under this rule if the referee believes that there was a deliberate attempt by the offending player to cause injury to the opponent. This is just further clarification and relocation of the match penalty criteria to Rule 6.4b. Rule 6.5, head contact. The previous application of an automatic major in-game misconduct for cross-checking an opponent above the height of the shoulders has been relocated to Rule 6.5f. and shall be assessed as a head contact penalty. Previously, this rule was listed under cross-checking, and it is better suited under head contact, as all contact with the head should be assessed as a head contact penalty. Rule 6.6, kneeing. You'll notice some significant changes with this rule, first of which it is no longer called elbowing and kneeing. Elbowing has been removed from the rulebook. All infractions for elbowing will be assessed as head contact penalties. There is also a new minimum penalty standard for kneeing. Rule 6.6a, a double minor, the new minimum, penalty, or at the discretion of the referee, a major in-game misconduct with the new enhanced wording based upon the degree of violence of impact, shall be assessed to any player who makes initial contact with their opponent's knee. So again, a double minor is the new minimum penalty for kneeing. The stipulation for calling a major in-game misconduct based upon an injury occurring exists, and a match penalty has been added for when a player deliberately injures an opponent by kneeing or deliberately attempts to injure an opponent with their knee. You'll also note that a linesperson can report the double minor for kneeing to the referee to be assessed. This has been added to Rule 5.3d, Situation 4, where it lists all the situations that a penalty can be called based upon a report from a linesperson. Rule 6.7b, Situation 21 and 22 have been added. Basically, this relates to scenarios where a person is an unwilling participant in a fight. In the event that a player makes no attempt to retaliate other than to protect or defend themselves, and in the opinion of the referee, does not engage in the fight, then their opponent will be the only player to be assessed a major penalty in game misconduct for fighting. Essentially, this is a one-person fight. The player protecting themselves may receive a minor penalty for roughing, or perhaps no penalty at all. In this situation, the player receiving the major penalty in game misconduct for fighting, which is the one-person fight, will also receive an additional minor penalty as the instigator of the fight under Rule 6.7b, Note 3. Additionally, a note states, where a player on the ice or on the bench becomes involved in a fight with a team official or spectator, the player shall be assessed a gross misconduct. And it references other rules within the rulebook and situations that relate to this note. Rule 7.3a, some additions and clarifications. You'll note, as previously mentioned in the presentation, the criteria for a major in game misconduct regarding the degree of violence of impact at the referee's discretion has been added to interference. Also a note regarding the finishing of a check. A player must make immediate contact with an opponent upon the release of the puck for that contact to be deemed illegal. Immediate contact can be best described as contact occurring within a maximum distance of an arm and stick length between the puck carrier and the player delivering the check. So again, immediate contact must be made in order for that contact to be deemed legal. Additionally, a match penalty option has been added to interference, and this may be assessed to any player who injures an opponent or deliberately attempts to injure an opponent by interference. Rule 8.3a, high sticking. This has been amended and is probably one of the other most significant changes to the rules. You'll note that in minor hockey and female hockey, any contact, intentionally or accidental, made with the stick above the normal height of the shoulders shall be assessed with the appropriate penalty under Rule 6.5, head contact. Therefore, accidental contact with the stick above the normal height of the shoulders will be a minor penalty for head contact. Intentional contact will be a double minor. Based upon the degree of violence of impact, or if an injury occurs, a major in game, or if it's a deliberate attempt to injure, it'll be a match penalty. But it will all be assessed as head contact. There is no longer high sticking penalties in minor or female. You will note, though, that previous references to high sticking penalties remain the same for junior and senior with one stipulation. The minor penalty for high sticking still exists in junior and senior, as well as the double minor when an accidental injury occurs. A major in game can still be assessed in junior and senior under high sticking, but note, in junior and senior, a match penalty for high sticking would become a head contact penalty. Rule 9.2, the first thing you'll notice is a change to the name of the rule. It's been reworded as unsportsmanlike conduct and harassment of officials. Under Rule 9.2b specifically, the criteria for misconduct has been reworded and aligns with the glossary terminology we reviewed at the beginning of this presentation. Use of disrespectful language or gestures to any person warrants a misconduct. So note, for the purpose of this rule, disrespectful is defined as actions or words deemed rude, unpleasant, inappropriate, or unprofessional, and found to be offensive to others that have not escalated to the criteria of abuse or obscenity outlined within Rule 9.2f. Rule 9.2c has seen similar updates where the use of the terms disrespectful and gestures have been applied to bench minors, most applicable to team officials who cannot receive misconduct penalties. And then Rule 9.2e has seen the exclusion of a reference to abusive language, as abusive language escalates beyond a misconduct and is outlined in further changes. Rule 9.2f. It's important to review the existing content of this rule as we describe the additions. So it currently reads as any player or team official who engages in verbal taunts, insults, or intimidation based on discriminatory grounds, which could include race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or language, shall be assessed a gross misconduct penalty, and the referee shall report the full details of the incident. Notwithstanding the above, at the discretion of the referee, a gross misconduct penalty shall be assessed to any player or team official that conducts himself in any manner to make a travesty of the game. The updates to this rule have further outlined what could constitute making a travesty of the game. The use of obscene, profane, or threateningly abusive language, gestures, or actions towards any person with discriminatory or otherwise malicious intent. Such actions may also be described as verbal or physical taunts or gestures that intend to humiliate, demean, belittle, cause offense to, or harm the reputation of the person or group being targeted. Rule 9.2, just an update here. A few situations that previously existed under Rule 4.7 have been moved under Rule 9.2. Additionally, there has been added wording to this situation. When a player or team official sprays water out of a drinking bottle on or at any person, the referee is directed to assess a bench minor. If the player or team official guilty of such action can be identified, a gross misconduct shall be assessed. This was previously worded to only specify on or off ice officials. Now that it specifies any person, that could be any player, team official, on ice or off ice official, or spectator. Rule 10.2, a new situation has been added. Number 23. The situation reads, the linesperson signals a delayed offside. Despite the linesperson's clear call, the offending or attacking player continues and goes directly to the net and forces the goaltender to freeze the puck. The question is, where does the face-off take place? The ruling is the face-off takes place at the face-off spot outside the defending team's blue line. Even though the cause of stoppage was the defending team's goalie freezing the puck, because they were forced to do so by an attacking player who is ineligibly in the zone, that team will not be given territorial advantage, therefore the face-off will go to the neutral zone. Rule 10.17, time of game, situation 1, there's been an addition to point number 5 in regards to timeout guidelines. The referee shall allow the calling of a timeout after a stoppage of play at any point in time up to, and this is the clarification, the official blowing the whistle to initiate the face-off procedure. So during the line change procedure, the line change is deemed complete when a whistle is blown, and it is up until that whistle blowing that a timeout can be called, but once the whistle is blown, no timeout can be honored. Thank you for reviewing all these new rules with BC Hockey. We hope you enter this year safe and healthy and enjoy the hockey season. Please feel free to contact BC Hockey if you have any questions.